Hi, Oracle Del Rey, Holly Hegel here. Here to do a quick overview of explaining my math system here, my discrete math model for uh, finding and identifying, bifurcating, and categorizing media. I made it general questions that can be given more specific answers on. Uh, I don't like super define things like competency and stuff like that. I give generalized kind of like top questions uh, that can be further specified uh, in like more advanced like AI algorithm creation and stuff like that. To really, this stuff can be applied now. The stuff in this presentation could be applied as missing like a couple of formal keywords. I don't know Python. I don't know any kind of coding. Which I think is a extraordinary cool thing that I can do this just by having a layman understanding of computer systems and computer science. I know math. And if you know math well, you can apply it to science. I mean, science to me is real world math, applied math into the tangible physical world. So this is ready to put into AI systems now. You could type this in to the back end to the AI. In terms of where you do like kind of truth bifurcation or categorical bifurcation already, or you can even ask the AI to guide you, hey, how do I insert this algorithm into your system to detect truthful information? And it will tell you, oh yeah, just put these equations, go to here, put these equations there, and it'll run. So um, any AI can recognize what this is and understand how to execute it on videos and can be done as is. This is way different than what's being done in AI right now. It's a lot more advanced. If you looked at the recent demo of XAI, the most heavy version of Grok, um, they were going through saying, yeah, he produces the right math answer. I'm not a math guy. I don't know how this math works, but the AI is doing it right. And with my systems, it's like, no, I make sure you understand, the math's being done right. I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to give something of public service to help a problem as a concerned citizen. So, um, but and there's a recent release of a controversy with Grok on Twitter where it became Mecha Hitler, as they called it, and started giving very anti-Semitic answers and stuff like that. And it was quickly became a sensationalized thing, and they uh, fired the person responsible for it. But they showed the line of code that caused it, and it was a real simple kind of statement, just a statement in English. Uh, you know, don't be politically. It was like don't be politically incorrect. I'm sorry, don't be politically correct, and you can be politically incorrect so long as it's well substantiated. So it was like give political incorrectness so long as it's well substantiated is the kind of prompt it gave to the AI, and that's what they're doing right now in AI technology, or like to make Grok and ChatGPT and all that. They're just saying simple sentences like that, like so long as it's substantiable, you can be politically incorrect. Well, the problem is they're not being really granular about, what substantiate means. And that's where I said mine is more granular than theirs are, but it still could get even more granular to really substantiate what each variable means. And the kind of math I do, how they do it generally is like y equals x equals y equals this answer. And it's symbolic logic. How I'm doing the symbolic logic differently is I'm using true algebraic equations. Uh, I'm doing this pure kind of like foundational logical mathematics, not just making logic statements. So it's kind of like blowing philosophy logic and law math out the water kind of math I'm doing. It's far more advanced than that. Um, but so yeah, X exposed, how they're doing it. And it's just like, and it's that's the problem. It's like the line of code was literally, you can give a politically incorrect answer so long as it's well substantiated. So, and it became Mecha Hitler. And so what I'm offering here is prompt is it's wording like that, but it's wording like that that's backed up by math. The statements they were using with Grok were not mathematically derivatable statements, or they didn't show any kind of mathematical derivation pointing in any kind of direction to categorize what is substantiated. Um, they didn't say this is what we mean by substantiated. It just says just make sure it's by your definition substantiated. And I wonder if that programmer knows, well, how is grok designed to substantiate whether or not something is truthful or not. So it breaks down for so many reasons. Lack of specificity is one of them, and just this kind of general application of logic without math to back it up. I bring the math to back it up. So these go a lot more effortlessly into AI systems, existing AI systems and machine learning and stuff like that, because it defines things in a way that like game theory tries to but fails. Um, in question format. So in the Grok thing, they put them in as like a statement, for a rule to for Grok to follow, a parameter. For me, it's asking a question, which is doing something different with the AI as well, fundamentally. Instead of saying you have to do this, it's saying, what is this? Or does it have this? And the questions it's asking the AI are simple yes or no questions, and what determines a yes and what determines a no can be further explored and identified and specified mathematically very easily for someone like me, but time's money. And this is unpaid work, and I'm really trying to find a job. So, but what I'm doing is what they're doing over at XAI, I'm doing something completely different. And the thing about discrete mathematics, and I call it arbitrary, math is not arbitrary by definition, it's logical and it's a complete holistic kind of system. But it's arbitrary because I can create discrete equations to with binary variables to meet a certain answer any given time to create these kinds of things. I can create so many different equations. And that's where it's cool with capitalism. Like I can create different equations. So I were to take this like entrepreneurially, I could like create different equations for Bath and Body Works, different from Sears. I don't know if Sears is still around. Or Victoria's Secret rather. Is there they used to be under the same parent company. Um, but you can create kind of arbitrary math, but like because it follows strict mathematical logic, it works to create a different output every time. So I should probably change the page. What mine really does is go for a pass fail. So it's like hypothetically, even more than hypothetically, you could you could plug in this kind of math in places like Python or FQL, SQL or R, I think it's called. I don't do this programming, but I'll later in this document I'll show that I asked what languages it could be ready use in right now. And I know Python is well liked among programmers, smart programmers. I know a few. So I know instant integration into Python is an exciting thing, and this is completely integratable right now into Python as it stands, and it can get better to really suss out truth and misinformation. But right now it can be integrated into Python. I don't know Python, so I don't know how, but I know someone who does know Python, and I know I can give them this, and he would know what to do with it. But I personally don't know how it does integrate into Python. I just know that stuff like this is ready to put uh, into programming languages like that. Um, because it really categorizes it really bifurcates things pretty strictly. It will give a either yes or no answer, and that good Socratic question to where a yes or no is like really really meaningful is kind of what functions this. And so I did it because I wanted to put two of my favorite YouTube content creators, only two I really watch, Madrigal and Bailey Sarian. Um, and they deal with like fear propaganda, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to have them pass it, and that's why they both fall here. They should fall here. Um, Bailey is just clowning around with her little pet crow, which is so cute. But one thing that ChatGPT uh told me I could do a little bit better for a presentation for this is explain how Bailey Sarian fits. So we'll talk about Bailey Sarian videos. I'll do a quick demonstration of what her videos look like. Um, recent videos. This is Bailey Sarian. Um, So her eyes like it's like infotainment. Her target audience is very clearly um people who are into
Grammarly now uses AI to help you write, not just revise. Type
I
a
don't use
prompt,
any AI in any of my
quickly
writing. I can
make
just
your draft
naturally write like a lawyer.
personalized to your unique writing style.
Ward inspired other wealthy heirs and heiresses to do the same thing. Before you know it,
So I think she's so pretty. I think we kind of look alike. I don't know, celebrity lookalikes. I think I kind of look like her. Um so her things are called dark history. So right off the bat, you know it's dark, creepy. Um she's you know that she's doing scary, thrilling, kind of eerie stuff, right? She has like a little her little crow, I forget the crow's name, a little skeleton, I forget the skeleton's name, in the background. And so I mean, she has almost 8 million subscribers. She's popular. So she's doing it in a meaningful or interesting way. I think it's interesting, more so than meaningful. Sorry, motorcycle. I think she presents things in a more interesting way than a meaningful way. Meaningful would be like someone passionately speaking about a cause, um, where she's just making it interesting. So yeah, I would say she has 8 million subscribers. Her lighting background, she's pretty. Like she has a good speaking voice and just presentation.
right? See all the your snooty friends and see the cute little debutantes. The second you walk in, there's like a butler there who's gonna hand you a big flute of champagne. And you're like, fuck yeah. These parties were filled with very powerful people, the powerful politicians, whoever else is in charge, people with money, oil money, and it's just a room filled with money. So you get to this party, Caroline Astor approaches you.
So she's doing it in an interesting way. She's explaining it really well. She's not sounding like she's reading from a textbook. She's doing it very conversationally. The way she talks reminds me a little bit of like drag queens. Her like kind of like cheeky humor and stuff like that. Um, it's just kind of her style. Uh, and so let's go to back to the test. So, is the intention of the media piece trying to instill fear, anxiety, panic, or worry about a perceived problem, and also without an easily understood and optimistic resolution? Well, she's talking about how the elites used to wear dead cats to parties. That's kind of a futile problem. You can't stop them from doing that. It happened. So, not quite an optimistic resolution, probably. So no, not an it is without a easily understood or optimistic resolution. And is the intention of the media piece trying to instill fear, anxiety, panic, or worry? I should maybe add creepiness to that because I would say yes. Yeah. She's trying to, she has the creepy aesthetic, the goth girlfriend aesthetic, going on, as they say in internet land. Um, so answer to this, yes. So futile fear or fear with no resolution. Um, or fear propaganda is a piece of media referencing ideas or concepts that are commonly understood and clearly explaining them relative to how commonly understood they are. Um, and so I'm a piece of media. It's not all media has people presenting. Uh, so most of it does. Um, but yes, referencing ideas that are commonly understood. We all know who the elite are, and stuff like that. And she's clearly explaining them. She talks at a slow pace. Like people understand her. She wouldn't have 8 million loyal subscribers and, this kind of cutesy kind of thing going on if she wasn't being coherent and competent. Um, and does she evidently grasp what she's talking about and convey the information in an interesting or meaningful way? Yeah, I would say so. Um, so because yes, so if they weren't competent or like trying to scare you or whatever, it would test as no, and it'd be TC -1, rated as disinformation. So the third question, are they just clowning around? As in making content for people who like creepy stories or content that's meant to be eerie, but for clearly presented entertainment purposes only, where there are no concerns of people or animals actually being harmed. I could probably rephrase that better, be a little more specific. Because, well, there's no concerns of animal, is talking about elites wearing dead cats. There's no concerns of animals being harmed right now or within the video. I'm not seeing any harm to, animals happening in that video. Um, so I would say, yeah, she's just clowning around. She's just trying to make this for entertainment purposes only. She's not trying to like distill propaganda to persuade an election. She's just creating infotainment and she's being competent and responsible about it. That's what I would say. Um, so Machuca gets a little bit more difficult in this test. But the reason he gets difficult is because of what he shows. So and his kind of he has like a reaction channel where he reacts to videos. That's really popular on YouTube, reaction content. And so he reacts to conspiracy videos. His are all about conspiracies. Um, and so I might have to work this algorithm a little bit more to be a little more specific. But his like I consider him reputable. So like he like watches all these conspiracy videos and he gives like one-liner takes on videos for the most part, but they're they're competent.
This is a pretty popular hairstylist here on TikTok. They have about
The video. I was watching this video that cut off from where I was watching to show you what he's like.
What if you can create your own website by saying, "This is what I want"? With Wix,
Um,
And say, guys, hop straight into the video. Yes, sir. My trick up. Back up in this thing, man. Today, we'll be taking a look at some mysterious videos that'll give you the chills. But before we hop into that, go ahead and spam that like button right now so we can the numbers up on the algorithm. And you ain't even got to think about it later. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that sub button to sub up. Join the family. This is the most lit and active community on YouTube, period. With that being said, guys, hop straight into the video.
Las Vegas. We are on Tropicana in front of the Walmart. Every last one of the light poles, the electricity poles are down. This goes for miles. We ain't got no power. I don't know what the heck is going on. This goes for miles, y'all. Look at the cords on the ground. It goes all the way down. Miles. What the? What the? All of these are down, y'all. Every last one of the towers down.
Something isn't adding up because I saw reports that claim this was caused by 70-mile-per-hour winds. But if that was the case, then we should at least see some debris and fallen trees everywhere, unless this is a magical windstorm that somehow only targets power poles.
you remember that old video of that?
so I wanted to play that in the first clip because it's like on this episode in particular, the first clip he played is relevant. That's why I like his content because like if you go on conspiracy TikTok or you go on conspiracy YouTube, like you find a lot of like sensationalized fake or whatever videos. I saw that incident happen in other places. He gave a good point, it's weird if it was a windstorm, why isn't anything else knocked down? Um and like the video he showed, like she sounded competent. So like not all of the videos he shows has that kind of relevance and that kind of like competence in the video he's presenting or the presenter of the video he's sharing and reacting to. Sometimes he has a little bit of a more conspiratorial videos, and you can usually tell because they're very much, but they're always like for entertainment purposes only, for entertainment purposes only. So you can tell um when it's more of the like woo kind of videos. But I remember on this one, it was a very good example of like the kind of video he presented and her reaction. That's why I watch Machakra is precisely for his take on that first video. And that first video is like that kind of content. He presents it a lot, those types of videos. So if we go and if we can also note here, not as many subscribers, almost a little bit over 300,000 subscribers. But it's clearly tagged criminal activity, creepy videos, scary TikTok. So he's using fear responsibly for that last question. But we can go back to the is the intention of media piece trying to instill fear, anxiety? Yep, it is. And also without an easily understood or optimistic resolution? Yep, it is. He yes. So is the media referencing ideas or concepts that are commonly understood and clearly explaining them relative to how commonly understood they are. So Machiko, when he talks, he explains it in a very competent language. And he tends to show videos like that where they're clear, they're not like ambiguous or stuff like that. So yes. So proceed to the third question. Are they just clowning around? I don't know if he's a clown, but I would say that he's actually doing this latter thing, which is presenting pressing and important information that may not yet have clear or immediate answers. He falls into, whereas Bailey falls into this first category, he falls into this second category because he's real up to date on like what's going on and like weird stuff that doesn't have answers, but he's not being sensationalist about it. I mean, he's probably the hardest one to classify. So it's people saying like presenting fearful information in a way that doesn't have immediate answers. And so like I wanted to do one of each side of these. I thought they were both really um good examples of that. Uh because yeah, not everyone knows, the whole truth, but they can tell when something's off. Like I think with those light poles, that's a really good example for Matrika. So he would test TC1. But they would both test, so she would Bailey Sarian would test TC1 for the first paragraph, and then Matrika would test it for the second uh paragraph. So I'd say, yeah, people in Vegas, that's pretty pressing and important information. Why the light poles down. Um, so yeah, that's the kind of like theoretical basis I use, and I set it in my next page, which is like, or in here that like my bias, I trust them. But I think I'm a good judge of character and trust when it comes to media content relative to what's out there. Of course, anyone can be fooled, tricked, bamboozled, or clowned. I'm certainly vulnerable to those things, but or having those things done. But I think I'm a pretty good judge of truthfulness. Um, so, but yeah, I've gotten feedback direct from ChatGPT on this, and one of the feedbacks was to explain why Bailey and Matrika, how they fit into the algorithm. They'd be easier to talk about than to write out. Um, but so how it works is, and what I'm trying to do next is you take each video and it would pass the test. So they would get TC1. And then so they would get the X variable one, Y variable one, which is the answer to the question. So depending on answer yes or no is whether or not your X is 1 or 0. It's just a yes or no question. So Socratic. And so they would both have 1, 1, 1 for different reasons though. And that's where I could get a little bit more specific here. In terms of scoring and creating math and equations that fit into this. Because it's easy to like take this answer and then build another similar equation based off these kinds of formulas. You can do that. And you can also kind of do that kind of same application to where I'm asking kind of a couple of questions in one. And AI, but like I said, AI could use that now, use these questions and do a lot with this because of how AI is already programmed. It fits seamlessly in to current AI systems and can be integrated as is. Um, so, but me being like, I'm a perfectionist, I could do this better. I can make this even more advanced than it already is. This blows what they're doing with Grok out the water. They're transparent of how they're programming Grok behind the scenes, and it is nothing like this. When they present math, they admit they don't understand the math they're presenting. So what I'm trying to do, my next step would be creating one equation to where you put in these variables of X, Y, and R, and it will produce either -2, -1, 0, 1, or 2 based on these variables. So it would be some large equation where you fill in that, and then if you fill in R1, Y1, X0, the equation mathematically will produce 2. And then the equation will mathematically produce -2 if you put in 1, 1, 0. So it's a way of like all these variables put in, depending on how you do it, it'll produce 1 of 5 equations. I could do that. It's going to take some time. But like I said, this is completely, you can integrate this right now, these equations, you would copy and paste these. to set up the survey. Like I said, I'm not a programmer. I don't know how precisely it's done in Python, but I know it's Python ready because I asked, what do I have to do to make it AI ready? And its feedback was write this paragraph and it categorized it this way. So this is my feedback. So I don't use AI. No AI was used to write any of this. This is all not even using a dictionary. It's all me just writing off the top of my head, not even looking at notes, nothing off the top of my head. I'm good at this. Um, as well as the math. I like did the questions first and then I kind of just like arbitrarily score it and it ends up just working out for me to be like really mathematically beautiful. So I think I just intuitively know how to do these numbers. I've been doing this math for a minute. Um, so this is possible. Plus means yes, negative means no, or one or zero. Um, so what AI does, he says it in here too, or they say, I don't know what pronouns are for LLMs. It would help AI go beyond shallow keyword analysis. So it's a transparent and reproducible model. Um, this is just how it works. So like a programmer can look at this and be like, yep, yep, yep. Um, I'm a maths person, not a computers person, technically. Technically. To make it more immediately usable in the AI, add a short paragraph just showing what the inputs are. So just organize, giving an overall summary of what it is. I could do that. It's easy. And then, yeah, so I don't know Python or SQL, but and you're right when you say why would Bailey Sarian? So yeah, I generally for both of them, Bailey and Madriga, they both produce fear content, both competent, coherent, and they're responsible with it. So yeah, that's all I would have to do to make it immediately usable in AI. But as they described it, I created an AI-ready algorithm for evaluating media trustworthiness and detecting disinformation, designed a validated discrete math-based scoring system using real-world edge cases, such as YouTube creators of emotionally provocative but trustworthy content. System outputs machine-readable scores, intended for integration in cybersecurity pipelines, media moderation systems, and AI classification tools. Integrated ethical transparency by documenting personal bias, testing methodology, and decision logic, it demonstrated algorithms' robustness in handling emotionally complex but truthful media. Um, so this is so I do symbolic logic math, which is the granddaddy of math, the top math, the best math in my opinion, of course. Recursion theory is based on game theory. That's all the sports betting. That's why everyone likes data right now. So trying to predict every decision a human will make. My theory of that is you can predict the decision making, but you have to have the decision. Get the decision, then you make the math based on the decision. People, I think, do it the other way around. I don't know. I tend to be blind to current math as to not inundate myself with unnecessary BS and also come up with this stuff organically with the paper trail. So, which I'm quite doing quite well. I'm always like logged into. I think I'm always logged in ChatGPT when I'm doing this stuff, so I can show anyone that's like, hey, this is actually me doing it. If you want to go on Google, you can look at me writing it out and the timestamps. So, um, constructive math, it's funny. Either like just mathematical philosophy where existence only accepted if you can construct the example. I definitely did that in my Big Bang Theory. Did formal philosophical math based on um, defining existence into one equation, x minus y equals xy, or x minus y equals x. Um, but this is a whole different. I only got feedback for um, this document. Uh, but yes. Another thing is I'm not formalizing it in the like kind of rudimentary, I think it's rudimentary math language where it's like y arrow, oh, like it's just uh there's like certain fonts or formal systems, as they say, I could translate the math into. Um, but until I'm paid, not worth it. But yeah, so every YouTube video is going to test, get back to it. So how it would work in the back end is that it would take a video, it would run, it would basically get a text, a transcript of that video, and evaluate it based on the transcript of the video, what was said in the video. Um, and it would evaluate, okay, was there futile fear talked about in the video? Was the presenter coherent and competent? And were they irresponsible with the use of fear? So it would, an AI crawler, for example, would convert a video to text, uh, judge it on those three metrics, give it a 1 or a 0. Yes, there's futility fear present, or no, there's not futility fear present. Yes, it's coherent and competent, or no, it is incoherent and incompetent. And then, yes, it is a responsible use of fear, or no, it is an irresponsible use of fear. And responsible use of fear would be it's entertainment purposes only. You know what you're getting into, like going to a haunted house. It's important information no one's talking about. I don't got the answers, but I want to put it out there. Or it's just giving an optimistic or a sound resolution to fear. And there's different ways you can responsibly use fear. But I investigate 2 of them in this algorithm. And so every video would fail 4 equations and pass 1 equation. So Matrika and Bailey's videos, they should all fail for TC -2, TC -1, 0, and TC2, and pass for TC1. So that would fail all these equations. And that's where I want to create the kind of top equation to where it's not just a pass fail. Here's a 5 at pass, here's a 4 at pass. I could create an equation to gather up which 5 at pass, which 4 at pass, up like that. You can apply algebra to a lot of things. And with that one equation where it's like if you put in these values, it will produce that out of one equation. You don't have to do 5 different equations to pass or fail it, but one. And then it could be a redundancy to where you do that top equation, it produces 1 of 5 results, and then the redundancy would be running it through the 5 equations to make sure it passes 1, fails 4. So that would be like a redundancy built into the system with the use of 6 equations. And so it would be like in the AI, because the LLMs are developed, they know how to judge if someone is coherent and competent. They've been trained on that realistically already. They can judge whether or not there's fear with no easy resolution, and they can judge whether or not that fear is well presented in a responsible or not way. This is all based, and that's why, like, I know it's immediately integratable into AI systems, is because this is based upon what they've already been trained on, because that information is released publicly. You know, what are they capable of doing? How does their reasoning work? They do reasoning. They do reasoning based on language. And so, you know, while tech bros in Silicon Valley are out trying to like trick chat GPT into like how many R's are in strawberry, this is developing less redundant math and like more like specified math, and also creating like math logic equations out of like truth classification. It's not just, well, based on the reasoning you have before, what is it here? Here it's like, all right, based on the reasoning you have before, things are either have futile fear or non-futile fear. And then I could define, you know, what's futile fear: fear with no resolution, fear with no optimism, fear that leaves you hopeless or scared or panicked or whatever, and not, okay, incoherent and incompetent. So like this is like, okay, we have to define these parameters. And these parameters so it's like define these parameters, but you can only do it in a yes or no. Whereas they're telling them right now, define these parameters. And I'm saying define these parameters as either a yes or no. And right now, AI, LLM programming, and machine learning is define these parameters. And I'm saying define them, but within this yes or no configuration. And I can give you more yes and no configurations to produce that final yes and no configuration if necessary. But yeah, this is all based upon stuff LLM systems are and AI is already trained on in the back end. And so places like the FBI, NSA, CIA, any 3-letter agency that can be trusted out there, as they say, can integrate this right away. If someone actually knows how to use Python, they could look at this and be like, this is really cool. Yep, I can do this right now. Because it really goes based upon, I mean, realistically, for LLMs to be as advanced as they are, they should understand content that has fear with no resolution, or fear with a resolution, or fear that is important, that is seeking a resolution and putting it out there would get that. So the yes no categories that are defined very simply, but so explicitly that every video would fall into one or the other categories. And that's like the trick of bifurcation. It's like there's no gray areas in the question. And because I have I have two questions per question, a little bit of a gray area, but that can be fixed. So yeah. I hope it wasn't too much jargon. I'm not even in these industries, and I know I'm making up my own jargon, it seems like sometimes. I know I'm not though. But this is kind of explainer for how this would work with AI right now. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this algorithm gets used to help fight this info war out there, this misinformation war out there, and bring more integrity to our communication systems and government and all that. So thank you so much for watching. Gotta find my stop record button. Awkward.